The camera fades in on the stately cabinet room of the White House. Cameras flash, reporters lean forward, and tension hums in the air as President Donald Trump sits beside Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky. It's a moment charged with diplomacy, personality, and political theatre, the kind of scene where even a few words can ripple across continents. Then comes the question that stills the room. Is Vladimir Putin trying to buy time in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine negotiations? Trump smiles, pauses, and gives a characteristically bold answer. Yes, I am, he says, nodding, but I've been manipulated my whole life by the best, and I've done very well. So it's possible a little bit of time is fine, but I think I'm pretty good at this kind of thing. I think he wants to make a deal. I've made 8, I'm going to make a 9th. I think he wants to make an agreement. The quote draws laughter from some, silence from others. It's a rare admission, the American president acknowledging that the Kremlin might be playing for time. But in the same breath, Trump reclaims control, portraying himself as the seasoned negotiator who knows the game better than anyone. Around the long oak table, the cameras catch Zelensky's expression, polite, almost unreadable. The Ukrainian president has weathered war, loss, and countless diplomatic promises. For him, every hour that passes without progress is another day of shelling on the front lines, another night of uncertainty for his people. Trump's tone is part bravado, part candor. To some, it's refreshing honesty. To others, it's risky, a window into how easily Moscow could exploit delay. The meeting marks another chapter in the so-called Budapest peace plan, Trump's initiative to freeze hostilities and push for a negotiated settlement. But critics warn that freezing might simply mean rewarding Russia's territorial gains. The president, though, insists his approach is pragmatic. If Putin wants a deal, America will broker one. As the discussion unfolds, the air in Washington feels electric. Reporters rush to file breaking alerts. Trump admits Putin may be manipulating him, says he's fine with a little bit of time. It's the kind of headline that drives both markets and geopolitics. Trump, however, leans back in his chair, unbothered. He's confident, even amused. He reminds everyone on live microphones that he's made 8 deals and will make a 9th. To him, diplomacy is another round of high-stakes negotiation, no different from the boardroom battles of his past life. But this isn't a hotel contract or a real estate merger. It's a war. Every pause has consequences measured in lives, not dollars. Across the Atlantic, the comment reverberates. In Kyiv, advisors to Zelensky express cautious optimism mixed with unease. One aide tells reporters privately, "We appreciate the effort, but time is a weapon in Putin's hands." In Moscow, the state-run media seizes on Trump's words, spinning them as proof that Washington is ready to compromise. For the Kremlin, perception is power, and a statement like this is pure gold. Still, Trump's defenders argue that this is his strategy, keep everyone guessing. By acknowledging manipulation, he neutralizes it. By appearing open to delay, he keeps the opponent at the table. To his supporters, it's vintage Trump, confident, unpredictable, and always in command of the narrative. Political analysts in Washington dissect every syllable. Some say Trump is signaling flexibility to encourage negotiations. Others believe he's testing Zelensky, gauging how far Kyiv is willing to bend in the name of peace. And somewhere between those interpretations lies the truth that the president is balancing 2 contradictory instincts, skepticism toward war and faith in personal deal-making. The war in Ukraine has reached a grinding stalemate. The front lines stretch like scars across the map. Cities reduced to rubble, families displaced, economies strained. Diplomatic fatigue has set in across Europe. In that atmosphere, Trump's comment about a little bit of time lands with both relief and alarm. Relief because maybe the US wants to end the bloodshed. Alarm because a little time for Putin could mean months of regrouping, rearming, and preparing for the next push. Inside the Pentagon, officials remain cautious. They know Russia's pattern: negotiate, pause, rebuild, strike again. One senior defense source speaking off camera says, if Moscow's buying time, they're not spending it on peace. But for the White House, diplomacy is the only viable path that avoids a wider war. As cameras continue to roll, Trump leans forward again, speaking more broadly about his philosophy. He calls himself a believer in deals. He says that if both sides can make an agreement that saves lives, then it's worth trying. He portrays the process as a test of endurance, one that he believes he can win. And that's the essence of Trump's worldview, that every opponent, no matter how ruthless, can be persuaded at the right price, the right pressure, or the right moment. Behind the scenes, aides describe a president who sees negotiation as theatre. Every public comment, every headline, every ambiguous phrase, part of the script. To him, diplomacy isn't just policy, it's performance. Volodymyr Zelensky, however, approaches it differently. For Ukraine, delay isn't strategy, it's survival. Each day of hesitation means another drone strike, another village under fire, another soldier lost. Yet Zelensky understands the optics. He listens, nods, and publicly praises the ongoing engagement of the United States. Privately, he urges Trump to keep pressure on Moscow, not ease it. In Europe, reactions split down familiar lines. France and Germany call for strategic patience, echoing Washington's message of flexibility. Poland and the Baltic states, closer to Russia's shadow, warn against any pause that could let Moscow regroup. The divide mirrors the broader dilemma of the West, how to balance diplomacy with deterrence. Meanwhile, in Moscow, Putin's team calculates, for them, time itself is a weapon. Every ceasefire proposal, every public debate in Washington buys them space to consolidate control over occupied territories. The Kremlin's playbook hasn't changed. Delay, divide, dominate. And if the US president seems willing to wait, that's an advantage they'll gladly exploit. Still, Trump's supporters insist that his unpredictability keeps adversaries on edge. He's not giving Putin time, he's taking it, one senior aide says. The statement is designed for headlines, but it captures the White House mood, confident, defiant, self-assured. To the American audience, Trump's remark fits neatly into his persona, the deal-maker unafraid of confrontation, the man who sees every negotiation as a test of will. And to many voters, that's precisely what they admire. Yet the diplomatic community watches with unease. Seasoned envoys know that peace talks thrive on discipline, not improvisation. Every public word can tip the balance, and Trump's words always carry weight, intended or not. Later that evening, the footage plays across international networks. The clip loops endlessly. Trump smiling, saying he might be manipulated and that he's fine with it. Commentators debate whether it's self-confidence or self-delusion. Social media lights up with both praise and mockery. But beneath the noise, one truth remains. The world's most powerful leader has admitted that even he can be played, and that he's willing to risk it for a deal. In Kyiv, as night falls, air raid sirens wail again. Zelensky meets with his generals, reviewing updates from the front. Somewhere between the sound of explosions and the silence of diplomacy, he weighs Trump's words. Does the US president's confidence signal progress, or another pause that helps Moscow breathe? Back in Washington, aides prepare briefing papers for the next round of talks. The message remains consistent. Negotiations continue, optimism remains, and both sides seek an honourable solution. But within the corridors of power, a quieter conversation unfolds about trust, timing, and manipulation. Trump's phrase, "I've been manipulated by the best," has entered the lexicon of modern diplomacy. It's both boast and confession, a line that perfectly captures his paradox. The leader who admits the game but insists he's winning it. For historians, it's a rare glimpse into how Trump views power, not as domination but as persuasion. For critics, it's proof of dangerous naivete. For allies, it's reassurance that America remains committed, even if its leader speaks in riddles. In the end, perhaps that's Trump's greatest strength and risk. By blending confidence with contradiction, he keeps every audience guessing, allies hopeful, enemies uncertain, the world perpetually watching. The meeting with Zelensky ends as it began. Flashes, handshakes, and a storm of questions shouted into the air. Trump waves them off with a grin. He's said what he wanted to say. The cameras have what they came for. And somewhere in Moscow, a strategist takes note, because even a single sentence from Washington can shift the global clock. As the door closes and the press disperses, one thought lingers. In the world of high diplomacy, where every minute matters, a little bit of time can change everything. And for a war that has already cost tens of thousands of lives, that little bit of time may be the difference between a deal and another chapter of devastation. From Washington, this is a story of timing, tension, and truth, where power is measured not just in weapons or wealth, but in words and in how long each side can afford to wait.